Thank you very much. I'm Zhang Li, or Brian. I'm from Beijing, China. Atelier TeamMinus, I'm going to present a Jianamani Visitor Center project. It's a great honor to be here. This project is in the Tibetan town of Yushu. Something that is less known about Tibetan geography is that it actually consists 3 segments, and in Tibetan language they call it the Bochart Kasum system, meaning 3 different altitudes. And Yushu is in the center of the middle segment, 4,000 meters above sea level, in the origin place of 2 major Chinese rivers, and air quality that's like a dream to someone from Beijing like me. So Yushu, for 100 of years, 800 years to be exact, has been the center of trade within the Tibetan community and also a center of trade and cultural exchange between Tibetan communities and other ethnic groups. For the last 300 years, it has also been a center of religious. Because of the existence of Jianamani, the world's largest Mani stone pile, marked here with a dotted box. A Mani stone is a special piece of stone that is carved with Buddhist scriptures, and a Mani stone pile is one significant monument in Tibetan Buddhism. Jianamani is the world's largest, with 250 million pieces of stones, accumulated in 300 years, and it's still growing, so it's a big religious attraction within the Tibetan community, and recently is attracting believers from all corners of the world as well, from other ethnic groups. And the whole life of Yushu is organized around the carving, the making, the cutting, the piling of the Mani stones. So either at religious festivals or at daily life, Jianamani is the heart of Yushu, and also a very important existence in the heart of all Tibetans. And this is what you see daily. Thousands of people circling around the Jianamani stone pile every day. And this is their main major religious practice and the most important thing of daily lives. For a typical Yushu family, you have this typology, is that you have a 1-story house in the front and then a backyard that is used for the carving and making of Jianamani stones. In 2010, the local community got a funding, so they wanted to build a small structure to provide basic services for the pilgrims from all the other areas, and also to help to tell a story of Jianamani. Here in black is the Jianamani in this map, 600 meters by 250, and in pink is our appointed site, around 80 by 80. We thought originally this is going to be a standard visitor center, but then we discovered that wasn't what the Tibetan community wanted. So we invited a Tibetan historian who has been studying Jianamani for over 30 years, Professor Sanding Tairen, and he educated us basically for 3 months about the history of Jianamani. We came to the understanding that in this valley there are multiple historical sites, and that is connected to the history of Jianamani, including, say, the resting place of the monk who initiated Jianamani, Jianamani itself, of course, and the religious festival dancing site. And many of these sites are directly visible from our site. So we came up with this idea, simply doing this 11 lookouts in a rotating way, and rotating in the same direction as the Tibetan Buddhism wheel, that is clockwise, and pointing each of these lookouts to each of those sites, and having a very small, rectangular, actually square building in the center with minimum program. 16 rooms in general, 9 in the ground floor, 9 in the first floor, and 7 in the ground floor. The first floor is used by the Jianamani management and scholars. The ground floor is used for the programs for visitors. And perhaps you won't believe it, the most important program is 2 big public restrooms, because before this building, public restrooms were non-existent in that area. And also other services like information clinic, because it's high altitude, and a post office, small post office. So here is Jianamani and a building. Of course, the roof terrace is the most important element of the building. And here you have all these lookouts pointing to the site and pointing to Jianamani as well. And these lookouts are connected by bridges. So you can circle around the lookouts, and it helps to tell a bigger story of the history of the Mani stone pile. And in the center, and there is this courtyard. Of course, the square courtyard is a typical element of traditional Tibetan buildings. On the ground, beneath each of these lookouts, you have an individual staircase, and these staircases help to define an ambient space around the perimeter of the building in the center. Trees grow extremely slowly and at an altitude of 4,000. So we've decided to keep every tree, not to remove any of these trees. So it ends up that one tree penetrates one of the bridges. Actually, this is not designed. And this was due to a mistake of calculation in our early stage design. But anyway, we have to keep it here. So like a mark of our miscalculation. And in the stairs, we have views around, of course, leading to the rooftop. And the courtyard in the center. We did a little bit of setback for the railings, and this is to make sure that inside the square courtyard, if you look up, you see no railings, no people, no anything, just the sky. You may call this the 12th connection after those 11 connections with those sites. Interior spaces of minimum functions. For the materials, anything below the roof terrace of this building is made of stone. The stone is from the same quarry of the Mani stones. And after some initial test, we decided to add a layer of concrete panel behind the stone masonry to improve the horizontal strength and thermal performance of the building's envelope. The stone masonry, of course, was done by the local team and the local masons. They are very passionate people. They would sing on the first day, but on the second day, they would be a little bit bored. On the third day, they would be exhausted. On the fourth day, they wouldn't continue. So to solve this problem, to get around this problem, we have to hire 2 teams. And because the work involves people standing on the ground, selecting stones and throw them up, and on the first day, they are more energetic, so bigger stones. Second day, smaller stones. The third day, even smaller stones. So the switching between the two teams ended up in this, is that in the masonry, you have a visible pattern of horizontal stratification, and from bigger to smaller, then from bigger to smaller. I remember being called by our site manager the other day saying, you must come here, and we have a big problem in the masonry. So I bought the flight ticket and arrived 2 days later and saw this. And actually, this is not something that can be designed. But again, I don't think this is a big problem. Actually, a good surprise, I believe. Everything above the roof terrace is made of wood, and because stone and wood are the local materials. And we have to recycle wood components because wood material, it's simply in short supply there from old buildings. But there is a question of how to make these old components join together with the new in this very low-tech environment. So during the design phase, we did a one-to-one mock-up in our office and testing the system of the details. And all these details are for tolerance rather than for precision. And this including extra wide mullions, misalignment of nails, and increasing of these intervals between components, and also the easily implementable joints. So this is the completed railing. We had 2 site management architects staying in Yushu, and it was them who picked, basically hand-picked, which is where. The Tibetans, for centuries, they have managed to keep a lifestyle that is very sustainable. They use very little resources, minimum resources. And it's because they always put the spiritual first and materials the last. So they managed to do this by having minimum comfort and having more outdoor activity than indoor activity, even in these extreme weather conditions. They have somehow adapted to the weather conditions in Tibet. We have observed the same pattern in the building. This daily life at religious festivals, the outdoor space is always more welcome than the indoor space. And of course, the rooftop is the most popular. And they can do this because they have this reincarnation idea, meaning that the soul always lives and it travels from one incarnation to the other. So an average Tibetan will tell you that his or her body the flesh will be returned to nature, and through these celestial burials, and the flesh become trees and grass, and the soul travels along, and then return, and in the form perhaps of another life. So complete the circle of life. And by doing this, they have the idea of saving everything, the natural environment, the resources, for your later comeback. So that's why they can have such a sustainable way of living, even in these extreme weather conditions. Brilliant ideas indeed. We have a 5-minute video, if you can endure the length of it. Can we turn down the volume a little bit? Thank you. This is what you see every day. the ground level seems to be most welcomed by kids. This is the Kori. In a typical family, the mother and daughters will do the carving, the grandma will do the selling of the stones on the market. Working with the Tibetans, for us as Han Chinese, is very revealing experience, because we have to reflect on what has been done in China in the last 20 years. That reckless consumerism and materialism is very unsustainable and cannot be continued. We have to pay more respect to nature. We have to reconnect our present and future, perhaps, with our own past. And in this regard, the Tibetans are certainly our teachers. Okay, that's it. Thank you.